Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming along to the Espira webinar. This month, we are focusing on CRM, particularly around Sugar CRM solution. It's quite an interesting topic, really. I think personally, I've always seen CRM to be a challenging conversation within the industry in sort of the 10, 12 years I've been doing it. And it's good to see that there's now a focal product involved here. So we have Sugar CRM going through the efficiencies of manufacturing businesses. And today we have John and Andy from Sugar. Just to let everybody know, we are recording the sessions. If you can just ensure your cameras and microphones are muted. What we will do is we'll be providing everybody a link to the recordings so you can consume later if need be. There will be a time and opportunity for Q&A at the end, so take the opportunity now to think of those questions as we have the guys here. If not, we can follow up post the webinar. So I'm going to hand over to John now and enjoy. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, thank you for that, Danny. So I'm John, I'm one of the account executives here over at SugarCRM. I've got about 10 to 11 worth of experience selling into manufacturing, wholesale and distribution organizations. I'll be running you through the conceptual side of CRM to start off today. So I'll be talking about typically where our customers see value in CRM and how we can help bring ERP data to life as a way of being able to drive efficiencies across the business. I'm joined by my colleague, Andy, who's one of our solution consulting directors. Andy, if you just want to quickly introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Andy Yates. I'm one of the senior solution consultants here at Sugar. And like John, I've been with Sugar about 10, 11 years, but been in the industry for about 15 to 20. So I'm looking forward to giving you a demo later today.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andy. So just to kind of quickly go through a high-level agenda. Ultimately, I'm going to be running the first part of the session, talking about how we can drive some additional value for the manufacturers that we support. We're then going to be taking you through a configured demonstration, both taking a look at what Sugar looks like out of the box, but also what Sugar can look like as an integrated solution, including a kinetic look and feel. And then the end of the session, we'll wrap up in a Q&A. So for those that aren't as familiar as maybe everyone else on the call, when we're talking about CRM, it really comes down to how we're looking to transform relationships and drive better results across the business. One of the first things that we see is that we're looking to drive an excellent customer experience. You know, if we can help give your team a complete view of the customer so that every interaction feels personal and relevant, they start to feel a little bit more loved by us. What we're also looking to do is to help drive pipeline accuracy and also accountability. You know, we need to help the salespeople focus on the right opportunities at the right time and make use of new tools like guided selling and automation. A strong CRM also helps increase sales efficiency across an organization. We need to try and help remove the repetitive tasks, streamline specific workflows, and help ultimately free up time within the team so they can spend less time in administration and more time selling. It also helps drive higher data quality so that we have a repeatable and reliable forecast that leaders ultimately can trust. It also helps us forecast more accurately and respond faster to changes within our customer base and our market. And last but not least, it helps teams collaborate. You know, more and more we're noticing that there are multiple touch points that customers are having with different parts of our team across marketing and sales, service, and ultimately operations. And being able to keep that single source of truth, ensuring everyone is aligned, really helps drive the right behaviors. Now, when people think of CRM, I think often, and this may be due to kind of how it was received or perceived in the past, they think of CRM really as a contact management or a deal pipeline database, but an integrated CRM like Sugar with Epicor can do significantly more than that. You know, ultimately, for starters, it helps you quickly get a full picture of your accounts, what's going on, where they are in a life cycle, and what they might need from us next. Then when you go about layering in the information from Epicor, that we can start to uncover potential new revenue opportunities and help drive better decision making. Leveraging new technology like predictive analytics will help improve forecasts, and suddenly you're not just looking at what's happened, you're actually planning for what could happen next. Salespeople can have access to guided selling tools to make suggestions for their next best actions, including understanding the customer's white space so that they can focus on the right accounts at the right time. And then it's about, look, how can we differentiate on service? A strong CRM should really help you deliver a level of service that customers remember. And importantly, to Danny's point at the start, over 50% of the customers that SugarCRM is supporting globally actually exist in manufacturing, wholesale, and distribution. We understand the challenges, and ultimately our go-to-market strategy is to further support this market sector moving into the future. Speaking of the future, analysts have been saying a lot about where the future of CRM is going and how it can help align alongside digital transformation as a way of being able to drive additional growth and how we can go about modernizing our business. We've got new technologies like generative AI and ChatGPT are becoming commonplace. And what we're looking to see is increased levels of productivity across those sales, marketing, and customer services functions. I think that we all appreciate that data is king, but ultimately, how can we use it as a fuel to help drive the right insights and the right understanding within our customers? And then how we can differentiate in customer service, because people are becoming more increasingly demanding as to what they'd expect from us based on the experience they have from buying from other organizations. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, where will CRM fit within my Epicor space? And I think that what's important to understand is that we're not looking to replace Epicor. If anything, we're looking to enhance it. And when we think about how we can understand a customer, the best way that we found to help discern this is to split those two different sets of data across soft data and hard data. Soft data would typically be your CRM that might allow you to better understand your customer. It will manage all of your engagements across all of the channels that you operate in, and then how that can go about help supporting your team. And then Epicor can pick up the transactional side of this business. But ultimately, it's about, look, how do we go about driving the right conversations by bringing the best of both worlds into one place so that we can help drive that customer forward. Now, speed ultimately has become a competitive differentiator. What we're looking to do is to be able to generate leads and build pipeline with personalized communications and campaigns for both new and existing customers. We want to discover some hidden cross-link up switch sell opportunities by bringing that Epicor data in. We're ultimately looking to guide your sellers through the entire sales cycle. And there are certain elements of that sales cycle that are naturally more tailored to CRM than they were ever for ERP. Conscious there are certain things that you're going to be able to achieve in ERP, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best solution to get the job done. So, optimizing things like customer events and the support teams with mobile access and being able to generate proposals and quotes quickly and accurately just helps us to close those deals quicker. We need to manage the account lifecycle. That involves us systematically managing and developing all the accounts that we have strategically. We're looking to build long-lasting, profitable relationships and help keep customers for the long term. We need to get recommendations for the next best action to ensure that any moment of the customer lifecycle is accounted for. You, like a lot of the businesses that we speak to, are conscious of how not only they're looking to grow their business, but how they can retain the customers they have today and ensure that we're bringing them value-added offers, recommendations, and understanding changes within their buying behavior quickly to identify those potential churn risks early. Now, where we kind of bring all of this information together is in something called intelligent account management. And that helps bring benefits across all of your employees, not just in your sales team, but across your marketing teams, your service teams, and your operation teams, and ultimately to your end customers. Intelligent account management is really about how we can help empowering the team with actionable insights and predictive analytics, enabling them to anticipate customer needs, identify the high value opportunities, and close deals more effectively. We're looking to optimize the customer lifecycle management within advanced analytics and AI integrated with our Epicor data. And we're also looking to enhance that customer experience by combining those two very different sets of data in the hard and the soft to improve that overall customer experience, satisfaction, and loyalty. Now, as I said at the start, manufacturing is a lifeblood of our organization, with over 50% of our customers operating in that. Every business that I've spoken to that's taken this on in the manufacturing space has been really hard and critical as to how they're actually going to notice a change within their bottom line by deploying this solution. And we talk about return on investment time and time again with our customers. Now, fortunately, we've got case studies that talk about high levels of adoption. We've got customers that are talking about increasing sales efficiency. We've got customers talking about how they've improved pipeline and how they're exceeding their sales goals. And as part of a process, we would want to help encourage you to understand those specific use cases and the way that they're deploying CRM to help their organization move forwards. Now, quickly reflecting on SugarCRM, we as a business have been around for a long time now. We operate across 9 different global offices. There's about 600 staff. As of May last year, they bolstered their product offering by buying a revenue intelligence solution called SalesEye back in last May. And ultimately, we tend to keep our customers for an extremely long time. We're extremely proud of our 90+ NPS score, which we've achieved over the last 5 years. And the main reasons that customers stay with us and choose us in the first place is that we offer an extremely high level of commercial predictability. We're not looking for quick wins. We're not looking for gotchas. We tend to look for customers for life. We believe in partnership. And by partnership, we're looking to give you access to our senior leadership team. We want to allow our customers to help influence our roadmap. And ultimately, we are seen as a much easier partner to work with when it comes down to things like integration. Now, fortunately, we've got some time today with Aspera, who happen to be a commercial partner with us. And as part of the demonstration, Andy will be taking us through not only what information we'd be looking to pick out of ERP, but also how we can configure that and how easy it is to play and use that information within the platform moving forwards. Now, speaking to the core elements that exist within the Sugar platform, we're not going to be able to touch on every single one of these elements in great detail today, but just to help build some context across that customer engagement, we have 4 core pillars. We have our marketing automation tool. We have a sales intelligence or revenue intelligence suite. SugarSell happens to be our core CRM functionality. And then we've got a service platform for case management and servicing. Now, ultimately, as part of the demonstration, we're going to take you through quite a lot of these core areas. But as a follow-up session, if anyone would like to see this in more detail, we'd be more than happy to run that for you. Now, speaking of the demo, Andy, if you wouldn't mind just jumping back on, that'd be great.
Sure.
As I said, we're not looking to replace ERP. We're looking to complement it. ERP has always been typically a back office solution. It's fantastic at managing our orders, our inventory, our finance. And CRM is typically a much better front of office solution, helping us better manage our customers, our pipeline, and our service. When you go about connecting the two, you unlock a completely new view into the customer, and Andy will happily take us through the session today to help bring that to life. Andy, over to you.
Thanks, John. So as John mentioned in his slides, I think one of the things that we want to get across today is that it's really a blended solution that combines that soft and that hard data. And so the first part of the demonstration, I'm just going to take you through an example of sugar in a typical kind of environment where you're looking at kind of activity, looking at pipeline, looking at kind of cases, looking at, you know, the customers that you need to manage and engage with. And then we'll move into the to that kind of clarity of view by having that 360 view of all the activity, and then the visibility of all the ERP data as well. So what you see at the moment is one of the most important views in Sugar. So this basically gives, this is the dashboard when you first log into the platform. And the idea behind, you know, these dashboards is that it's built around the role of the user. So if you're a leader in this case, or if you're a case, you know, in the contact center, if you're a marketeer, you will see different things based on the things that you need to do your job. So in this case, you've got, you know, the leader needs to see what their pipeline is, needs to see how that pipeline is broken down by different stages, needs to see where that pipeline is based, in which territory, you know, looking at activity of maybe the team and where are they visiting customers, are they you know, are they being, you know, following up activities. And they can also see any kind of priority cases that are coming through from those customers to make sure that, you know, if they're a big customer, that we're reacting appropriately to that request. Excuse me a second. So as well as having all these kind of insights, you also have the ability to kind of pull in all your kind of day-to-day activity as well. So things such as your activities, your tasks, all can be pulled from either from Outlook with the pre-built integration into Outlook, or you can have, you know, the workflow engine within Sugar be able to kind of push and prompt you based on different automations that you set up. So one of the key things about these dashboards, as I mentioned, is that this is the hub of everything you care about. So from here, I can obviously, you know, I can set it up specifically for my role, and I can then drill into these different segments to see the information that I want to, you know, to drill into. So I've drilled into the Northwest pipeline in the prospecting stage, and I can see all of the different opportunities for that stage. And if I was to click on one of these, I would then see that all from the dashboard. So I'm minimizing the number of clicks and making it very easy for people to get to the information that they need to, you know, help them do their job. And if you almost think of it as a custom navigation, essentially, to what you need to do your role. And this can also include all the Epicor data. It can include any information that's been pulled from Epicor, and also any other kind of integrations that you may have in your ecosystem. So this is the first of one of the main views, and then there are two other main views inside Sugar, and if you get these views, you pretty much get Sugar. So the first is a dashboard. The second view is what we call the list view. So this is the same look and feel across all the modules. So this is the list of all the customers. If I was to go to opportunities, it looks exactly the same, just different information. So it's designed to be extremely kind of easy to kind of understand and use. The list view allows you to see all of your customers, be able to search, be able to filter, and be able to kind of see, you know, a group of records based on any particular segment that you define. So if I wanted to just, you know, to find records that I say are customers that are at risk, for example, I can just select the at-risk filter or build different filters, and it will then bring them back. I can then select those customers and then, you know, do something with it, maybe email them, you know, create a target list to reach out to them or something like that. Also, you've got obviously all the common stuff like search, which I won't bother going into today, but, you know, you can easily filter and segment your data based on, you know, the information that you're trying to find. Another key area of the system, which you can also access from the dashboard as well, is these focus drawers. These again, one of the feature that a lot of our customers really like, and everything you're seeing today is all configuration. It's all just it's not customization, it's all just personalization of the platform to meet the needs of your business. And you can control what information is shown in these little dashlets to ensure that wherever you are on the system, you can easily just access the information that you need quickly. And then the third of those key views that I mentioned is what we call the record view. And this is an example of a demo I've been working on recently. And, you know, again, depending on what information you want to track, all these fields here are all completely configurable in terms of the key information about your customers, such as the account health, you know, the sales to forecast, the key contact, the address, the spend, any variation of those or anything else you want to track could be easily added to the system. And this can all be controlled by the roles as well. So you can make sure that only the right information is shown to the right people. So potentially some of the financial information may be hidden from some people, and there's extremely granular controls around that information. We'll come back to that sales intelligence piece in a second. And we'll come back to that in a second. So the next part of the screen, which is important just in terms of that 360 view, is to see all the related content to this account. So who are the contacts at this account? You know, what's all the orders? What's the cases from the customer service team? What opportunities are we working on? And you'll see that there are various different people all across the business, you know, engaging with this account. And that's one of the age-old problems with, you know, without having a good CRM, is that, you know, you really don't know who's talking to who, and you can have that awkward situation where, you know, you go to meet someone and you're not aware of that fact that someone else has been speaking to them, or they've got an issue with a product or a delivery or something like that, and then you're trying to kind of, you know, sell some new stuff or kind of be a bit blindsided. So it's important to have all that key information in one single screen. And as I say, we'll come on to all the Epicor information in a second. I'm setting the scene here first. One of the other areas that, just to touch on briefly, is if I was to drill into this record here, into Lisa with one of the contacts, I can then maybe see all the marketing information that she's been sent prior to going to meet her, for example. So I can see all the automated communications about our new products, about our services, about our news, about our successes. You can see all the different activity she's had with the brand, and then you can then obviously, you know, make sure that, you know, maybe you follow up some of that information based on things she's engaged with. So, and you'll see this view here is exactly the same as the other view, the third view, the account view, but this is to do with the contact. So you have that kind of consistency across the platform. So just coming back to the account record, the third part of the screen here is what on the right hand side here shows the intelligence panel. So this is showing you all the contextual information to the record you're looking at. So you can see the timeline of all the activities, like what we're doing, meetings, updates to the system, things like that. You can also see any future meetings, again, which can be synchronized with Outlook or through the workflow. And one of the things that we've added fairly recently to the platform, which has been very well received, is one of the challenges of having, you know, all this information being pulled into a CRM is like when you go to the record, you need to make sense of, well, what's the next best step, what's the general feeling here, what's the issue, especially if this customer is being touched by lots of different parts of the business. You want to make sure that you're getting a good feel of what's happening. So the AI summary will basically take all the information from the record and summarize it all for you. So, you know, managers love this because they don't have to kind of go through all the information. They can see all the information in a concise format, but it applies to anybody. So you can see the summary, you can see what's happened, you can see the risk, you can see the, you know, what they're trying to do, and you can see the proposed next steps based on all that kind of intelligence that you've harvested from emails, meetings, calls, etc., etc. So moving on to the next part of the demonstration, I'm just going to pivot slightly now into another instance, which we'll start to touch on a bit more about the Epicor information. So here you see that less colorful view of that 360 view I just showed you. So here's, you know, that same kind of, you know, record, all the related information below it, where you can see the calls, the contacts, the meetings, the opportunities, as I just mentioned. And this is all exactly the same, just with different information in the system. But this one is plumbed into Epicor. So this is where the two would kind of blend together. So you'd see, you can see now that you've got that kind of soft data, as we mentioned before, combined with that hard data, that Epicor data, that can be that is often the master in terms of the customer name, the territory ID, the payment terms, the currency they use, all those important data points. They can be synced either way. So usually it's from Epicor to Sugar, but you can also sometimes pass maybe contacts from Sugar to Epicor or cases from Sugar to Epicor. So there's a whole range of different integration touch points where you can work with you to understand what makes sense, and then you're not having to duplicate information or double key information, and also you provide a single view of the entire process rather than just the hard data in one place and the soft data somewhere else. So here you can see the information being synced from Epicor, and you also got some of that softer information that we had before, and again you can have more fields, etc., as you see fit. But the interesting part here is that if I just as part of the integration that we've built, we can also make it look like Epicor. So one of the things that we often get feedback from manufacturing customers is that they're not used to having lots of different systems, and they've had the very traditional approaches to managing customers and built great relationships. So having a single simple interface that is the same can often make it remove that barrier to getting them to adopt the system. And hopefully, but you've already seen, having all that information in one place is it makes it easier for them to do their job. So therefore you're going to get that adoption rather than having to go somewhere and fill something out separately. So let me just take you through a few of the other bits that are a part of the integration with Epicor. So as you said before, you've got the synchronized data pulled from Epicor into Sugar, but you've also got on the right hand side, the contextual real-time lookups into Kinetic to show you the BAQs that have been created to pull in that data ready for you to use. And as part of the implementation, there are a selection box of different common queries or BAQs that we've set up. And as part of the implementation, we'd work with you to understand what information you'd want to pull. But these are some of the common ones, like open orders, open quotes, close quotes. And if I just print this preview report here, I'll just let it run for a second. You can also pull in documentation or kind of order reports from Kinetic, and actually see that inside the platform as well. So if I can obviously make this bigger as well, but you can basically preview your kind of order reports. You can pull in any other information that's inside Epicor into this single view, giving you that true blended kind of system that helps your users be more effective. In addition to these real-time views, you can also drill into these as well. So if I was to click on one of the records here, it will actually drill into the deep link straight into the record inside Epicor. So I've just clicked on that link. It's taken me straight into Epicor, and I can now see that the full information about that particular part in this quote. And again, that can be linked to any part of the Epicor system. And then another interesting part of our integration is you've also made a slight modification to the navigation to help again the users who are familiar with the old navigation or the Epicor navigation. You could actually use this to to navigate to different parts of the record view or that third view to make sure you can again it's familiar and easy to use. So in short, you've basically got with Sugar, you've got a very easy plug and play CRM system that works very well and tightly with Epicor through our pre-built integration. And as I say, we're more than happy to to show you more of the other parts of the system. Obviously, we could only cover so much today, but yeah, there's a whole whole lot of other areas like the workflow, the customer service area that we'd be happy to show you. But hopefully, what you saw today, it has been useful. Back to you, Danny.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much for that, Andy. I think it was the big kicker there is the visualization, the fact that the representation of a integrated system doesn't feel like an integrated system. I think that's a huge quick win there. And that onboarding of sort of internal staff is always a challenge when trying to incorporate a new solution. So I really do like that, seeing the data-rich content there. John, is there any last bits you wanted to do before we seek for a Q&A section?
Yeah, no, I just thought, ultimately to help kind of summarize, I've just kind of brought up on the screen the kind of the six core areas, Danny, that we would normally look to as a way of being able to help drive an understanding as to how CRM will pay for itself. We've been through some of these workflows today, but ultimately we understand that for the manufacturers and distributors that we're supporting, we see the same challenges time and time again. Now that could be, like I said, understanding how a customer is buying and changes within that customer's behavior as a way of being able to not only grow spend but protect spend. We're also noticing customers that are having to potentially diversify with their customers based on either new geographies or new types of products that they're bringing to the market, and how we can manage the customers buying across our range tends to be something important. Obviously, that changes depending on how many products that we're creating as a business, but we're noticing more and more organizations are into the hundreds, sometimes even into the thousands of product lines that they will be operating across in Epicor, and being able to have visibility of that. And I suppose the next part is, we understand that for the customers that we have already, it can be very useful to have something that will help us benchmark and understand how much share of wallet we're really getting from that customer based on other customers that we're working with. So those are the kind of the core areas that we would look to as a way of being able to present a return on investment, Danny. But I'd like you said, I'd be more than happy to entertain some questions as we've got some time available for us at the end today.
Yeah, so for those in the webinar, there is a Q&A button at the top of your screen. If you do have any questions, please pop them in there and we can answer them now. If we don't have the answer now, though, don't worry. When we do send out the recording, we will follow up on the questions. But I do have one, actually, if I may ask, and probably our customers watching this have gone through an element of probably an ERP implementation or an upgrade, and have the battle scars to kind of to go through that. This looks like a quite a comprehensive product. Could you just maybe share some information on what a typical implementation of a CRM solution would look like, particularly obviously a one that would be well integrated as this? Maybe sort of best case, worst case, and maybe a typical manufacturing case of what you've experienced.
Yeah, so that's a great question, to be fair, Danny. I will reserve the right to answer it. How long is a piece of string? But ultimately, for the experience that we have in manufacturing and distribution, the vast majority of the customers that we'll be working with will see their CRM deployed within a 3 to 6 month time frame. Now, importantly, we appreciate that a lot of businesses don't want to necessarily go all in on a CRM straight off the bat. So we will typically deploy like a crawl, walk, run approach that will allow us to better understand not only what the quick wins could potentially be for that business, but how we can go about growing that long term. And I think, typically as part of our sales process, what we'd really want to understand is, it's all well and good identifying that, a CRM might be able to add value for the business, but we're really focused on what the business outcomes that we're looking to achieve. I've touched on some of those points before, but it's very rare that people deploy CRM for the sake of deploying CRM. It's really more about, look, what you're looking to achieve and how can we align with those business goals. And in most cases, as I said, that will be a 3 to 6 month turnaround. We'll have some of the complexity in fairness, Danny, and this is kind of where the how long of a piece of string comes into it. Could be on a legacy version of Epicor. They might have highly configured that environment. We might have to think about integration through potential middleware. I know that we also have the ability to integrate with Kinetic through Workato, so there are more than one way to skin the cat. But ultimately, what we really want to understand is, okay, well, look, how can we move the needle the quickest? What's going to be the highest impact, lowest effort to start off with? And then how can we go about growing that usage over time? Because I don't know if you ever say this to your customers, but we always say, look, CRM is never done. It's an iterative process. It's something that we're going to have to constantly manage in the same way that we have to manage our customer data. It's never completed. It's an ongoing exercise. So it's really more about, look, let's make sure that we understand what we're looking to drive, and then we deploy an implementation plan that best aligns with it. But 3 to 6 months would be fair.
Cool. Thank you very much. There is a question that has come through, and have you done an integration with Aptian Ross? So that's obviously a different ERP product than Epicor. Maybe you want to just cover off, integration into ERP as a whole, and to kind of set the scene there and your experience there, please.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So we haven't heard of Aptian Ross. In fairness, we have heard of other Aptian products. So we've got Aptian Merlin. I think there's Aptian Swords. They've kind of gone through a process of acquiring businesses over the last couple of years. Sugar actually supports over 180 direct integrations into ERP. So what we would normally recommend, I'm not sure who posed that question, but if I could set up a call to just kind of better understand what that environment looks like, whether it's on premise, whether it's online, that'd be great. If not, I'd be more than happy, Danny, to speak to one of the technical team at Spera or at Aptian directly to confirm that. But as a general rule of thumb, and I'm not looking to oversimplify it, for our professional services team, if you can get out the data either through an API or through batch processing, then we can do the same. And it's just how we want to lift that information and how we can elevate it, because sometimes when we talk about integration, integration is more of a gamut or a range. Sometimes people say it's integrated if contacts are syncing. Other people say it's integrated if it's bi-directional. So again, it'd just be good to understand what they kind of mean by that. But in most cases, I don't know if Andy, you want to speak to this at all, but there are lots of different integration and deployment approaches. So that's something that we would look to confirm with you.
I think just to add on that, I think we've so Spera have done integrations into Aptian Ross before for other platforms, and I think it's fair to say, maybe just to validate that SugarCRM product as a solution is, as a saying, very integratable. As you say, as long as we can get to the data. Maybe I've just created a new word there, but as long as you can get to the data, then actually it's more about joining the pieces together. So in answer to the question, a direct integration into Ross, Aptian Ross hasn't been done, but it's certainly a conversation that can be done, and it's very manageable in terms of delivering that. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, and if I can just add one quick thing as well. So one thing I meant to show on the demonstration, which I think actually is very apt for this particular question. So is inside the it's one of the things that helps with that integration piece is, you saw before the Epicor integrations, they pulling directly from point to point from Epicor into Sugar. But one of the elements that I forgot to cover, because I toggled it out the view for a second, was our revenue intelligence piece, which basically connects to all these different ERP systems, is designed to basically to harvest all that information and then pull in and translate that into usable kind of insights to help you be able to see the variations in spending, in profit margin, in what, in terms of their, sales comparison over different periods, what they're spending from one year to the next. You can also see, which products are, which products are, which products are they actually spending less money in terms of, like, they're spending less on this area than they previously did. Does that mean that there's a competitor already kind of speaking to them? And one of the things that we often find is that the hard data is quite hard to interpret and to be able to use effectively for salespeople. So having that kind of sales friendly intelligence of all that hard data in context of all the soft data is super helpful. So whichever ERP system it is, it's pulled into this common view that you can then use to be able to get that insight.
Cool, good
100%.
stuff.
Thank you for covering that, Andy.
And unless there's any more questions, I would just say, John, Andy, thank you very much for your time. For those that are here, thank you very much. We will be sending out the email with the recording and a link, and stay tuned for next month's webinar. We'll be announcing that shortly, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, Danny.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.